Welcome to the Manders Mindset Podcast. Here you'll find both monologue and interviews of entrepreneurs, coaches, healers, and a variety of other people, where your host Amanda Russo will discuss her own mindset and perspective and her guest mindset and perspective on the world around us. Manders and her guests will help explain to you how shifting your mindset will shift your life.
Welcome to Manders Mindset, where we explore the power of shifting your mindset to shift your life. I'm your host, Amanda Russo. I am here today with Shannon Michelle. She is formerly an interior designer and a single mom of a wonderful daughter, and she went through a very transforming journey that changed her whole life in the blink of an eye. And I am so excited to delve down how she has shaped her life into a miracle ever since. Thank you for joining me.
Hello. So yeah, it's nice to hear. It's nice to hear my story through somebody else's mouth. A little bit.
I bet it is. So, who would you say Shannon is at the core?
Oh, she is a kind, inspired source. She's a rebirth sharer. Yeah, at the core, I am a different person than I was before my accident, but I'm still the same. The core of me is still here as the same human being, but I have had to learn how to see myself through different eyes. And I no pun intended because now I use one, but it's been quite a journey to reshape yourself in a way that you never thought you would need to.
Now, I'm curious. You mentioned who you were at the core before your accident is different than who you are now. So who did you say you were before?
I always say that I was Shannon Michelle 1.0 and now I'm Shannon Michelle 2.0. And we have the similar traits, but I ran my life in a very productive, but reserved and protected way. And I came from a place where I was a big giver and doer, and it was very difficult for me to receive help, truly receive in any way. I was very bad at receiving, and all I could do was give. And I know now, because I physically and mentally had to refine myself, and I needed a lot of help and guidance along the way, that I had to ask for a lot of things that I never ever thought I would have to depend on others the way that I had to post my accident. I ran my own company. I had my business for almost 30 years, and I was very successful here in Los Angeles. I thought I was living my life in the best way I knew how to at that point. And then I had an accident, and I literally was broken in every way that you can imagine. New hips, new parts and pieces had to be put back together. My brain was deleted completely. Like, I woke up and I knew who I was, but I had no memory of my accident, and everything had been deleted. Like, I had to relearn every little part of myself and my abilities. I had to learn to read again. I had to learn to know what a cell phone was, what a computer was, how to use them, how to cook, you name it. Everything had been taken away, and I had to rebuild and refine myself again. And so that's why I do say the Shannon Michelle 1 and 2.0, they're very similar, but I'd say 2.0 is much more open and engaging in every moment, and stays super present for her life so that she can find places of joy and freedom and that pain, because I went through a lot of pain physically and mentally. like all of it, I learned how to handle, and I don't want to say juggle, but that word just came to me.
I get what you're saying. I'd love to backtrack a little bit before we go further. Can you take us down memory lane a little bit? Tell us about your family dynamic, childhood, however deep you want to take that.
Um, absolutely. So, and bear with me. Sometimes I need to close my eyes to think, because if I'm distracted, then my brain doesn't work as well. As a child, I'd say I grew up in a very chaotic dynamic. My parents got divorced when I was 6 months old. We got traded back and forth between the two parents. We also, my mom had a lot of mental illness and she got hospitalized. And so I went through a lot of trying to adjust an adult myself as a child. We lived in Los Angeles and then we lived in Helena, Montana. So those were very extreme differences in environment and people. So it taught me kind of how to develop myself no matter where I was thrown, in a way. And then I grew up and all I really wanted to do was get out. And I wanted to get away from the abuse. I was abused physically and mentally. And I wanted to do whatever I could to escape the chaos I lived through. And I today can sit here and tell you that, but the Shannon Michelle 1.0 didn't admit to any of it before. She couldn't find strength in the brokenness of her childhood. She couldn't share how much she had been abused or how much she had to be the adult in the family, because both parents were alcoholics. And there was just a lot of growing up quickly that happened that now I know is why I'm kind of the super badass I am, even post everything I've been through, At 22, I started my own business, had a little antique furniture store, and that turned into multiple retail furniture stores. And that turned into interior design world. And post the accident, which was, I'm going to go on a 4-year anniversary, but it was during when COVID had become more a part of everybody's lives. So we had to close down the businesses, bring everything home and trade out the way that we all lived for that period of time. And then I woke up one day in a hospital looking outside going, where am I? Thinking I was in New Orleans, like over and over again. Where am I? Where am I? And had to be told that I couldn't get up and I couldn't walk. And I couldn't remember that I kept repeating things over and over again. Okay. And then, years later, it'll be 4-year anniversary. And what's the date today? Oh, I guess yeah. So in 4 days will be my 4-year anniversary for my accident. Yeah. Again, timelines are interesting with my recovery as well, because what I remember or don't remember post my befores and afters of a brain trauma have been a big part of me finding myself again. Like, I may not remember what I'm telling you right now, but that's just me. And it's okay that I don't remember the interview or I don't remember the person unless I do it multiple times. But I show up, I be me, and I share my story, and I hope it helps others.
I'm sure it does. So I want to backtrack a tad. Do you have any siblings?
I have one brother. He's 2 years older than I am. And I have 2 brother and sister, but there was such separation that we never really, other than like when we were really little, knew each other, and then lives separated and we don't even contact each other anymore. But I have one core brother. He's just a good man and he lives here in California. My mother is still alive. She lives in Illinois. So there was a lot of back and forth and a lot of my recovery with her. My father passed very soon after my accident, not because of that, because we were not in contact with each other either, because he was an abuser, a sexual abuser. And so I had no relationship with him anymore. And then I have my uncle, who's my father figure. My uncle is he's a big part of my heart. And he's a good man, and he kind of took over as my father figure in certain ways growing up and now even. So he's He's my extended Papa Bear.
That's great. Now, you mentioned it being difficult in your upbringing. So, were you somebody who left the home at like 18?
Oh yeah. When I graduated from high school, I was out. The soonest I could start creating my life and doing life different was me. I was 18. I had just graduated high school when I was 18. And I can remember even my first apartment. And I worked as a waitress. And I had like, how can I make this work? How can I pay my own rent? How can I get by and through life without my family? Because I just know there was such chaos and abuse and neglect in that arena that I had to find my way out to find a better life that I wanted to create for myself.
Now, you mentioned you started your own business at 22. So, in between 18 to 20, what did that look
Oh,
like
she
for
was,
you?
she was, gosh, I was a very waitress bartender at this very cool restaurant on Sunset Boulevard that was right across from the Whiskey A Go Go and all like kind of the rock and roll world. And that was my first outside of the box job. And I made good money and learned how to, even at 18, maneuver in a certain way to, to, I don't, I don't know, to engage with others in a way where they connected to me. And the waitressing was a big part of how I was able to find a career within. I used to go to the flea markets and buy antiques and go to my apartment and refinish them in the apartment and then put them in my shop. It was the waitressing, which led to waitressing and starting an antique store. So it was a combo. And then finally the retail took off enough where I made money and could live outside of the box of being a waitress and or a bartender. And I found a way to help people create beautiful homes for themselves. Not for me. Like I know how to make it look beautiful, but I always wanted to make sure that it felt like them, that we created the space that kind of expressed who they were.
Now, what made you decide, if you remember, at 22, why then was it the time to start the business?
It wasn't. I was just, again, I had an opportunity that, like, if you go into specifics, I was dating this gentleman and his friend had a coffee house and they had room next door. And I could, well, you could use half of the front of the other side if you want. I'm like, sure, on Melrose Avenue. Like, again, Melrose in this city, tons of beautiful shops, very high end. Like, well, here, take the front half, and this is how much your rent would be. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. I want to be creative. And it wasn't like I was trying to get to where I was going. I just kept kind of trying to create and do things that felt like me. And then that turned into this guy knew that guy, and he's got this shop. And then I would again make things. I'd make little baskets of things for a tea or a basket. I would make baskets with the baskets that you would do the wine in with the glasses and whatever to take a food basket out to somewhere. I did all kinds of stuff for my first job. Thank you for asking me that because I hadn't really thought about that post my recovery. So I would make things and do things, and I was just always very creative, and I could always come up with interesting ways to make things look a certain way, to make it inviting, to make it fun, to make it colorful. That just came naturally for me my whole life. How about you?
Definitely.
How
How
about
about
you?
me?
Yeah. Do you like being creative? And obviously this is a very creative environment we're in right now. What would you say it's like the top thing that comes to mind when you say I'm creative as
I'm creative as like
whatever comes?
well, I'm creative in a few different ways. I guess the podcast is creative. I honestly didn't think of that. But I like to paint.
Yeah.
Um, and I'd say I'm also creative in like this is a little bit of a different aspect, but I facilitate breathwork and we come up with playlists for them. And I'd consider myself pretty creative with them because it's even like, okay, I'm not gonna play this whole song. I'm gonna play this much of the song and then we're gonna go to the next one. So I'd say I'm creative in that aspect as well.
Love this. Love, love, love it. Yeah. And that's again, That's a beautiful way that you just expressed yourself right now. How we expand and how we kind of show up for ourselves when we are imagining and thinking and creating. It makes us a much better us. All the different parts and pieces.
It does. I completely agree. So how long did you do interior designing for?
Oh gosh. Kind of the super high end of it was probably about 20 years. Yeah. Yeah. I had a very, very, very successful, very good business. And it was, that chunk of when I started doing the interior design. And I even walked into the interior design part, not really realizing I could do it. I was like, my shop was so cool. People would be like, could you come to my house and da da da? I mean, that's how I stepped into the interior design world, was not because I went to school and got the degree. I literally had my shop and people were like, this is cool. Can you kind of figure this out at my house? And so it linked into my life in a very outside the box kind of way. But that was when at that point, I was probably 24, 25, had been doing my retail stuff. Maybe I was in that range. I'd have to think about that. But yeah, and again, it just came out of me being the best me I could be at that moment when I knew nothing. Which I think all of us need to give ourselves that freedom, like what's in me? What am I here to share? How can I express? How can I create? How can I learn? That I think is important for us all to ask ourselves.
Now, did you go to school for anything? Did you go to college at all? Because you said
I
you
did.
didn't go.
I went to PCC in Pasadena City College, and I went for less than a year because I never thought I was smart. I had difficulties in certain areas, and in college just was like made me feel even not very smart. And so thankfully I stepped out of that because I was told, the college career, blah, blah, blah. My family was very high on getting a degree. And for some people, it does boost them and it does educate them and it does help them grow. And for some, it doesn't. And I think, again, individuals are all so different, and how they can be creative is how they should be. But yeah, so I tried that for a little bit, but it didn't last very long.
But you were great at the designing even without the degree in it.
I was. And also, I mean, considering my age and where I was at, I ran my own little business. Like I learned how to run a store by doing that. So there are these layers of, I think all of us need to remember we're given so much and we need to kind of be grateful for the things that we're given, and the things that also that stress us and are difficult. Those are just lessons for us. What do we need to learn? And how we learn them is also so different. Like for me, my life taught me so many lessons in so many different ways, but it's made me this better me. And everybody needs to remember to do that. Who's the you in you? Not the you want to be, not the you think you should be, but who's the you in here, in your heart, not always in your head, just right here, start here, work with that and create the best life for you that you want to be. That's important, I think.
I completely agree, Shannon. So you said it was about coming up on 4 years ago that you had your accident.
Correct. February 6th, 2022. Again, I only know from like the paperwork and what people tell me, because the first year in my recovery, I couldn't retain anything. Like I could barely find a word. I was, again, searching for every moment. So that first year and a half was seemingly looked good. Like I was able to walk again and talk again and find my way. But that took a while. And then once I felt like I was through all my surgeries, because even I was 3 months in the hospital, 2 months in a coma, again, lots of surgeries. And even after they let me come home from the hospital, I had to continue on lots of surgeries to do, to fix my wrist so that I could use my hand. They tried to fix my eye, but because it's still in there, It's really cute, but it just goes in a different direction. So I've double vision. Yeah. And so at a certain point, I was just trying to get better and better and better. And then I was really trying to get the old me back. I was trying to get my old life back. And one day, many days, I had to wake up and be like, that is not you any longer. Quit trying to search to be able to reopen your business. Like all the layers of regaining my old life, I had to let go of. And that's always hard too for anybody in any transition, in any trauma, like letting go of the past and not staying so present with it. Like just you hold on to stuff that has happened to you. And if you can't let it go, that gets in the way. And I had to let it go. And I had to let go of my old life. And I had to let go of the old Shannon Michelle. I had to let go of, I had multiple motorcycles. And because it was a motorcycle accident, my ex, father of my daughter, he's like, you need to sell those. And I'm like, how would it, I'll be able to ride maybe someday again. He's like, maybe, but now it's not now. And you need to actually sell those and get rid of those, get those out of your garage. So it's like these layers of letting go. I remember not wanting to sell a motorcycle that was still in my garage, even though a motorcycle accident had just almost killed me.
I want to backtrack a little bit. How long had you been riding motorcycles before your accident, approximately?
About 5-6 years on my own. I had been riding on the back for many since I was probably 20. I'd been the person on the back, boyfriends, whatnot. But I started riding about 5 to 6 years before my accident on my own. It was what I called my Sunday school. We used to ride as a group and Sundays, and we would go up and down the coast of California, PCH and the mountains, and we'd take beautiful trips on Sundays. It was like my little vacation day. And so, yeah, I'd been riding for quite a while. I mean, not too long, but I was very good at what I did. And so within the accident, I had been riding with my group and I was trying to come home because a friend of mine was coming with her husband to stay at my house because they were dealing with cancer and they needed to be nearby at UCLA. And they were coming to stay at my house to do their cancer treatment. And so I needed to get home to let them into my house. So I left my group and I'm like, okay, I can't ride anymore. Bye-bye. Driving myself home. And I was hit by somebody who did an illegal U-turn on Pacific Coast Highway, right on the beach. And from what I've been told, it threw me up in the air 30 or 40 feet and I crashed down on my head. And these are where all the miracles started as well. Like where my accident was on Pacific Coast Highway, there happened to be an EMT on the beach with his wife. He ran up and he did all these things that you do when an accident happens. And he thought I was going to die. And he said, you got to put her in a helicopter to UCLA. She's not going to live if you put her in an ambulance. So they shipped me to UCLA. There was a gentleman driving his car and he saw the accident and he was a rider. So he went and he blocked and he made a block of all the cars on PCH so they wouldn't ride over me because that could have been another layer of trauma. So those were the two little or big blessings that happened to me. And then they drop shipped me to UCLA and kept me there in a coma for a few months because they were trying to get my brain swelling down. And they did. And did all again, the bells and whistles to put somebody back together. And then they shipped me home.
How long were you in the coma? You said a couple
Well,
months?
2 months in a coma. They had to keep me in a coma for 2 months. That's how severe my accident was. It was a long time.
Yeah. Do you remember anything from waking up from the coma?
I have some memories, but what I have distinct memory of being mid-state. And when I woke from my coma, when they allowed me to reawaken, I kept asking for Bill, who was my father figure. His name is Bill Langford, and he was such a big part of my adult life. And I kept saying, oh, Bill. And he's the father of one of my best friends. And he had just passed away about 6-8 months before my accident. And when I woke, I was asking for him. because I remember him being with me mid-state. And I know that he was part of the reason why I was even able to come back into my physical body, because I was floating in a place where I did not want to come back. It was too much. And he kind of just stopped me and calmed me down in a way. And if it wasn't, I don't know for sure, but if it wasn't for him being there, kind of just giving me space and time to not move on out or into the out of body death experience, to come back, because I had a daughter and he knew. And I think he was a big part of me surviving and thriving also, because I remember the abundance I could have stepped into versus the chaos I stepped back into my body. And that was big. I write about that in my book as well. It's a whole chapter about remembering the angels that spoke to me and being surrounded by so much white light. Angels is a way, again, you have to put things into words, but the feeling and the essence of where I was, it's even hard to explain in our language with words, because it's so empowering and beautiful. I've read and heard a lot about the accident, because I didn't know the MT came up and saved me. I didn't know somebody blocked traffic. I didn't know that they drop shipped me. None of this I knew. I don't remember any of that. I've just been told via other people and, medical, all the reports and stuff that happens when there's an accident. That's how I know, or at least I've been told, I should say, because I don't have any memory of my accident, and I never want to remember that, because I physically don't remember my body being broken and torn and thrown up and thrown back down, and all of the trauma that this body and brain went through. I don't want to remember it. When I read or hear the stories from others, I don't want to know that. Hopefully I don't remember it.
You think it's been more helpful for you since you don't remember it?
Oh, absolutely. For me, and I think everybody is on a personal journey that is the experiences that they're supposed to experience, and the way that they will learn and grow through. I'm just hopeful that I'd much rather trade off my short-term memory limitations than remembering that accident. I'm getting very comfortable with knowing that I can achieve certain things in a certain amount of way and continue in my life and in this limited way, because I am very limited in certain ways, which is ironic and funny considering everything I had created and built. And then all of a sudden I'm like, I don't know. I'm literally learning how to read again, even though I wrote a book, because I spoke it into my phone. Like, how do you make sense of not being able to read a word that you used to know, but I can say it? I can remember how to speak it, what it means, but I can't read it. And I'm rebuilding that. I'm much better, but it's again, that a way of dealing with profit and loss in your life,
Yeah. Now, how was that journey? Like relearning to read, relearning to walk. How was all of that?
Mind blowing as well. You can't imagine there are, we again are in an environment generally where you learn something and you can develop and kind of create from all of that. And it's such abundance for yourself. Like, you learn something, you grow, and you're like, oh, that. And then all of that getting taken away. Nobody ever thinks it's all going to be taken away, like being able to read. You run a company, but now you can't read. Huh. That, this for that in our lives. Never try to sort it out, because when you try to sort it out, that's when things to me get a little more confusing. Spending too much time and energy trying to sort out how to do things better, other than staying present and being the best you. I hope people just stay with being the best them, not trying to be anything more or less than who they are in that moment. And I had to, they had to keep me, they had to keep me in a wheelchair for even once they brought me home, I was still in a wheelchair. I had to slowly learn and rebuild my strength and my body and my balance. So I would wake up in a lot of pain, and I would I remember one of my first goals was I loved baths. I loved taking a bath. And I remember I'm like, I would really love to take a bath. And I was like at a point where people like had to help me do everything at this point. And I'm like, I want to be able to have the strength to take a bath, like get myself to the bathroom first and foremost was first goal. First goal was being able to get myself and go potty on my own, which I wore diapers as an adult. Crazy talk. And then after that, but I remember the most important thing was learning to, or building the strength to be able to get up and in and out of a bathtub. I mean, it's so simple, and you do it for your lifetime, and you don't think things are going to go away. But I remember that being a goal. And I remember my daughter she was in college, but she'd come back for the summers. And I said to her, I remember saying to her, okay, I can get myself into the bathtub, but I don't know if I can sit myself back up to get out of it. So I'm just telling you, I'm going in the bath, but I might need your help to pull me back up. I mean, you trade off, like you learn to trade off. Like, this is my daughter. I'm helping re-raise me. My daughter at 20, when my accident happened, she was 19 and she was her first year of college. And she had to navigate through losing her mom and her mom's abilities to do things. And she had to mother me for a while. And so you just never know where life's going to take you. I mean, but it was, and again, in the transition, it was a lot. A lot.
I bet it was. Was it frustrating for you at times?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
How did you push through the frustrations?
I had to get comfortable with as much sorrow as I did joy. And I know that that is not easy to do either. I know that waking up in physical pain, mental limitations, it's like I had to find a way out the darkness in a way, even though I didn't know how to. I took baby steps in feeling better and being able to rebuild myself. But it was, the bad days were difficult. They were painful. They were overwhelming. They were depressing. They were heavy. They were heavy days, weighty days, painful days. And then I would just search for a good moment. I remember when I was learning to walk again, I would say kind of a kid's pool in the backyard. And I remember thinking to myself, I'd love to learn to swim again. And I would work towards just walking to the steps and then standing in the pool and then taking the baby steps to physically and mentally learn how to swim again. Those are the ways I kind of got myself out of the sorrow, was just like, what can I do today? What can I try today? And I think, again, everybody, no matter what they're dealing with or they're going through, it's like staying present and just trying to do what you can do today and not sort out tomorrow and not think about yesterday, but just be here, be present, be in this moment. Like, I'm in this moment with you right now. This is a beautiful moment. This is my day. This is gorgeous. Like, this fills my heart. And I think that I had to learn to accept my present moment for whatever it was, difficult or easy.
I like that, accepting the present moment for whatever it was, difficult or easy. I think that's big, accepting it sometimes, because sometimes we can't change the situation. You
Yep.
know, you can be upset, you can be mad, you can feel whatever you're feeling, but there's some things in life that we can't change. There was only so much you could do.
True. acceptance is sometimes a part of the change. When you can accept the sorrow, when you can accept the pain, when you can accept the you that day, it helps you transform the next day. The hard days get easier by moving through them and experiencing them and accepting them and then growing from them. Because no matter what, I truly do believe no matter what has happened to me and or to anybody, like it's just a part of growth and acceptance. And that turns into abundance if you let it.
I agree. I'd love to transition a tad.
Yeah.
Now, I know you're an author and you wrote a book as well. And I'm curious in terms of your accident, like how soon or how long after you
Yeah.
wrote it?
Well, that was a good moment too. So I didn't know I was writing a book. I was talking into my phone. And what had happened is I had one of those moments where I woke up and I just heard, finish your book, finish your book. And it was screaming at me. And I woke up, I was like, I'm going to learn to, I thought, I'm going to learn to read again. I'm learning, I'm growing. This is what I'm thinking when I have this insightful moment. I call my best friend and I said, oh my God, I don't understand. I heard it, but I'm learning to read, Jess. I'm learning to read. And she goes, yeah. She's like, finish your book. She's like, have you looked in your phone? Like how many, like, cause I would speak into my phone to recreate myself and get through pain and all of it. And she said, have you looked at what you have on your phone? Have you looked at your notes? And I said, well, I use them. Yeah. She's like, I think you should really look at them again. And she's the one that had said that. She's the one that started that guidance. Like, you have something to say and you've already said it. And let's take a peek at that. And you need to keep taking a peek at that because you forget everything. So for me, even my book is first and foremost for me to remember who I am because I forget what I say. I forget what I wrote. I forget my book all the time. And I have this place where I can kind of relive my life by listening to my book or at some point reading my book. But again, I do that very slowly, but I listen to it. And that story, I don't want to forget. And I want to share how, and I need to remember how to move through life in a different way. And so that's how this came about and all kinds of layers later, but the book was published, which was a big deal as well. I have an amazing publisher. It was finalized and published on my birthday of this last year. So it was only 6 months ago that it was published and put out into the world. And it's my new journey.
Now I'm curious, and I ask everyone I speak to who's written a book, did you always think you would write a book about something prior to your accident? Did you always think you would be an author?
No, I was a designer. I was an interior designer. I wanted to be known for my design work. No, the idea that this has even happened and it's so beautiful and it's so inspiring, that blows my mind. Like, no, it was not a goal of mine ever. It all came through me and to me through my journey. Oh, and then also, like, I think I said to you, but I love to share that my daughter drew the cover for me. She took a picture that they had taken and she sat down. I asked her, like, can you create a picture for me for my book? Because they were saying we needed to get, during the process of creating a book, you have to figure out the cover and all the other stuff that comes along with getting a book published. And they wanted to hire somebody to do it. I'm like, well, my daughter's really good. Let me ask her. And she's like, yeah, Mom. I'm like, okay. And so she drew my cover. I just got lost though. So redirect me.
No worries. It's a very beautifully designed cover. And I thought that before she even told me that. So be sure to check that out. I want to transition back a little bit. In terms of your accident, you mentioned you were in the coma for 2 months. How long were you actually in the hospital?
3 months. I was at UCLA, then I was at Kaiser, and then they sent me to a nursing hospital in Santa Monica. And it was around a little over 3 months, I think, but 2 months hospital, like major, a little more than that. And then about a month in a nursing hospital before they'd let me come home. And they didn't even want to let me come home yet because they didn't want me to try to come home until I could get out of a wheelchair. I had to beg them. I remember begging them, like, oh, it's my birthday, May 12th. And they're like, well, you're going to be, I don't remember the terms, released or whatever, the next week, because that way you can start walking at that point. I'm like, no, please let me go home for my birthday. I just want to be home in my own bed. And they did. I had to talk them into, well, I didn't talk them. I begged. And then my partner, did the work of making it happen. And then I was home in my bed and I got a day before my birthday. Silly rebirth stuff. I wanted to be just in my bed on my original birthday. I feel like I have a rebirth birthday. I have 2 birthdays now.
A rebirth birthday. So when is that birthday?
That to me is the accident day, because I don't know truly what day I came back because I was in and out. But I kind of feel like the fact that I was saved and rebirthed on the day of my accident, that I was drop shipped into UCLA and they didn't think I was going to live. And I remember being in another place. So I call it my rebirth. My friends and family don't like that day for obvious reasons, but I appreciate it huge that like I was rebirthed. Let me tell you. I might have been, I'm trying to remember. I'm now 56 and I think so take away the 4 years. So I was almost 52 to my accident. I'm an older lady, even though I don't look it. So 2 birthdays.
That's beautiful that you found a way to celebrate that day. I get why your family and friends don't, but I think there's some grace in that you call it your rebirth birthday,
I'll just have a moment right there too. My daughter's name is Grace. I love that.
Oh my
I
gosh.
taught her, but her name is Grace, and she was named after my grandmother. And yes, Grace is another important word in my life.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
I know you mentioned to me another illness that you had shortly after the accident.
I forget about that.
I'm curious if you were diagnosed with that in the hospital or not until after.
No. So it was about a year and a half after my accident. I was going through the multiple surgeries and my doctor was like, you really need to get a mammogram again, your age, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, no, well, how long can we put that off? I've got more surgeries. I remember just thinking, I don't want to put off my other recovery surgeries because I needed to get multiple wrist surgeries post my, them fixing things. And she said, no, you need a mammogram. You can't wait any longer. And so it was about a year and a half after my accident. And then they're like, oh gosh, what's in there? And, oh, I've had that before. They've told me I might have it. And they go in and then if there's no cancer. Like that has happened to me previously. And so I was like, I've already almost died. If I was going to go, it would be some other way. It would have been some other way. And so I didn't take it very serious, but I needed to, because then they did everything they did. And they're like, oh, cancer. Okay, we got to do this. And I'm like, oh, more surgeries? Really? That was my thought at first with the breast cancer. And then it got messy with stage 1, but no, then they go in and it's actually stage 2 and it's here and there. And so it was a very eye-opening experience, even post all the trauma my body had experienced. I kind of needed to learn that just because you go through a lot of trauma doesn't mean more things can't happen. You need to balance out the concept that your plate doesn't get so full that nothing more can be loaded on top. And that lesson was important because I needed to understand that I needed to stay present and happy with whatever I have today. And that is today. And so that transition was multiple surgeries and then radiation for 6 weeks. And so, and as my daughter said to me at one point, because I wasn't taking it serious enough at first, and she's like, this is the priority, Mom. We need to take care of the cancer. You getting your eye fixed and you getting your wrist and your abilities with your right arm That is not important. What's important is the cancer. We don't want the cancer to take over. And it was true. I had some more serious issues in this human body that I had to be faced with and dealt with post all the other chaos. And I forget that sometimes because I try to let go of the difficult parts sometimes post my accident, like the cancer, and I laugh or I giggle or I forget, which again, it's given me hope within my existence for cancer, Okay, good. We got that. We took care of that one. And I hope it doesn't come back. I mean, I've had another checkup yearly and it's still all supposedly gone. And I'm recovered from that part of my trauma, I believe, but I have to stay open that, it's still cancer and it's not easy to get on the other end of no matter what. So I'm in a good spot now.
You mentioned something that is really key, though, whether it's an accident or whatever it is people are dealing with, it doesn't mean something else can't happen to us.
Nope.
I think a lot of people think they experienced one illness or one ailment or one whatever, and that's it for even a little bit. But you're the prime example that that's not necessarily the case.
Just don't believe in the idea that you've learned enough, that you've grown enough, that you can't be hurt more. Like all of the layers of your life, positive and negative, is to teach you. And none of us know what we're still learning in this lifetime. I mean, we go through it and we do the best we can. And I think on a daily basis, can try to make a decision to create and expand and be, I don't know, full of abundance. Like that's a choice. I could sit in sorrow about all of the chaos. I could sit in sorrow about all the brokenness, all the new parts and pieces, like, new hips, new this, new that, and taking away things, the cancer. A lot has happened physically to my body. But I spiritually know that I have so much to share about how to transform your life, trauma to triumph, whatever version that is for you. That's my goal in my new life is to help guide people to a better place.
That's beautiful. I'm curious, and I'm sure you have had a lot of these, but I'm curious what you would consider the biggest aha you've had in your life or your second life.
I think the true understanding of staying present brings abundance is like, I know those are probably silly words, but like, it's so hard to stay present. It's so hard to not work on next steps or the previous steps. And for me, there's just so much beauty in your life if you can just stay present. That is, I think, it's not an easy thing to do. They're simple words, but it's not easy to do. And yeah, I'm going to ask you right now, give me one word that comes to you in this present moment. One word, any word.
Now.
Now is staying present. And there's a blend with that. Like that means that you truly are capable of staying present.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, but it's not easy and you need to consistently do it because it's not like it comes, but you in this moment, you could stay present with me.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed this, Shannon.
Yeah, it's been nice talking to you as well.
Have you heard of a man named Jay Shetty?
Oh my gosh. This is life. I am not joking. Yes, I have. I have actually a conversation with one person on his team tomorrow about, I'm not sure what next, but yes, I know him. Why do you ask that?
Are you going to be doing life coaching with him, or are you meeting him?
I don't know. I have no idea of the expansion of my life. I just know that I'm having this conversation with somebody on his team tomorrow. And you can ask me in a few days, you can ask me what happened.
I might do that.
It was a part of this new road I'm traveling down for some reason. And the fact that you just said his name is just making me laugh. And it just, again, with abundance, I know that there's something major in my life that keeps doing these layers and layers of expanding and giving.
So obviously, he's got a podcast called On Purpose. I'm a big fan, and he ends it with 2 segments, and I've borrowed those 2 segments, and I end my show with them as well. But they're not my questions, so I give him credit because people always want to know, how did you come up with the? They are word for word what Jay Shetty says. It's not my question.
I'll listen. I'll see if I have an answer for you.
The first segment is the many sides to us, and they can be answered in 1 word each. What is 1 word someone who was meeting you for the first time would choose to describe you as?
Explosive.
What is 1 word someone who knows you extremely well would choose to describe you as?
Enlightened.
What is 1 word you'd use to describe yourself?
Abundant.
Ooh.
I guess it's
What is 1 word that if someone didn't like you or agree with your mindset would use to describe you as?
kind.
What is 1 word you're trying to embody right now?
Breath.
Second segment is the final 5, and these can be answered in up to a sentence. What is the best advice you've heard or received?
You're the best you can be. That's what
Why is that the best?
because within this new life of mine, I have to keep remembering how worthy I am and how much I can connect with others in ways that are hard to explain, but they're very spiritual. And I get a lot of connections and insight through me when I'm speaking to somebody or with somebody.
What is the worst advice you've heard or received?
Mm. Wow. It's the worst to heard or receive. Oh. I personally don't believe that anything that is shared with me or concerns that people have, I don't think of them as anything but a positive guidance. So I don't have an answer for that one. I mean, that's my answer.
Nothing?
No, because I feel like I think we are our own worst enemy. I think we are our own worst critic. I think we are the most challenging to ourselves. So when you ask that what somebody else has done or said, it's nothing. I just have to remember to be kinder to myself. Like I'm the one that has to remember to be kinder to myself. I'm the one that has to have the softer responses to where I'm at in my life with recovery, with my body, my brain, with my whatever. I'd have to be kind to myself. And some days I am, and some days I'm not. And I think that's human. I think that's more than human.
But you don't think you've ever gotten any bad advice or advice that you considered bad?
Nothing's coming to me, but give me a second. I've had such good guidance. I don't know.
It's okay if you don't have anything.
I mean, I seriously don't. You could ask me again in a few days and I might have an answer because I'll sit with it for a while. But I have not. I have just had so much support and love considering. And again, I don't have to say considering, but just in my life post my accident, there's just been such beautiful strength and kindness and guiding and support. Fills my heart. Like, even, oh, okay, this comes to me. Some people had to, I would say, exit my life because they couldn't find a right place for themselves within it. And there's a few friends that are so distant from me now that I think sad as a loss. And even within that, like, nothing was said to me in a way that was hurtful or painful or I couldn't understand or I couldn't grow from. So I'm not sure, but I don't also, like you say that, and I don't think that negativity or extremism in certain ways towards you, to me, that's always like guidance. Like, what is that telling you? What is that teaching you? What can you learn from that moment instead of taking it in a hurtful way or a painful way, that you take it and you can grow and learn from it? Not that you have to accept it, because some stuff is just bullshit. But, there isn't, I'm sitting here with nothing for you.
No worries. What is something that you used to value that you no longer value?
I used to value my physical ability to do certain things like snowboard, ride my motorcycle. There's some physical things that I can't do anymore or I haven't tried to do again that feel like it's a loss or a change in my life. I also had to refine myself. I was very lost, and I needed to find her again. I needed to dig in. And as my neurologist says, who I love, he's like, it's all still in there, Shannon, just dig it out. So, yeah.
If you could describe what you would want your legacy to be as if someone was reading it, what would you want it to say?
That's a good one. That's a good one. I know I will be remembered as a thriving survivor of trauma. And there are, again, not a lot of words you can put around describing me at this stage and or once I have passed. But there will be there will be a lot of people sharing how I helped change their life and inspired them. That will be a part of what the stories will tell.
If you could create one law in the world that everyone had to follow, what would it be? And I want to know why.
You said one rule?
One law.
Gosh, the simplicity of my answer is, again, going to be what it is. It's very simple and not easy to stay on. And that is accepting and learning and growing from staying present. If people could learn and that was a law, it sounds so simple, but it's not easy. I don't ever want to think of it as a law. I just want to think of it as an intent for people to live through doing that.
Why would that be what you choose for the law?
Because I believe that only brings growth. from what you learn in you, who you are. And that abundance, that kindness, that softness that you have with yourself by staying present, it changes you in a way that it's almost like a speed limit. Like, can you actually just stay present and just be aware of this moment for you? And people would be able to view each other and their lives themselves in a different way if they could not hang on so much to the past or hang on so much to the present of what they could achieve, but just where they're at right now. That yin and yang of being just here and not here and here, that is super empowering. I know it helped me, and I know it still, because I know that sometimes when I get frustrated or overwhelmed or sad about something, I have to remind myself of what I've been through and what I've achieved and how this new person is, again, she's a strength beyond what I can explain. She's got so much to give. And I have so much that I want to share with others to help others. That's my goal. How can I help the world, the universe? How can I be of much giving and kindness and in a beautiful way where people really see themselves in a present moment, and then they will learn to achieve more within that point, just that point. Oh, keep hearing my dog, Teddy.
That's beautiful, Shannon. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you. And definitely, if anybody gets a chance, I have a beautiful website, and take a peek, and expanding and growing that as well it's pretty cool. You can buy my book on it, but they're also just in the midst of all kinds of new stuff as well. So take a peek when you have a chance. stepintoyourmiracle.com.
And I will link that in the show notes for everybody to click directly. Thank you so much, Shannon. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Manders Mindset. In case no one told you today, I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. And you got this. As always, if you enjoyed the show, I would really appreciate it if you would leave me a 5-star rating, leave a review, and share it with anyone you think would benefit from this. And don't forget, you are only one mindset shift away from shifting your life. Thanks, guys. Until next time.